2006. He is on the sales engineering team at Pantheon and works closely with the content publisher product team. He lives in New Hampshire with his wife, two children, and two dogs. When he's not demoing cloud software, he enjoys building games. Welcome to the show, John and Chris, and thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Pleasure to be here.
I'm Nick Laughlin, founder at Enlightened Development, and today my co-hosts are joining us for the next 4 weeks, Andrew Berry, VP of Technology at Lullabot. Andrew started with Drupal back in the mid-2000s with the university student website, which eventually led him to joining Lullabot in 2010. He's worked on and led Drupal projects for organizations including NBC, the American Booksellers Association, and the state of Iowa. When he's not doing that, you can find Andrew dialing in espresso shots and nerding out about home automation. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. Glad to be here.
And joining us as usual, John Picozzi, Solution Architect at EPAM.
Hey everyone, I have so many questions about the intros that we just went through. I'm gonna hold off on them, but I am pretty sure this could be the first time we've had a WordPress engineer on our Drupal podcast. So
Gasp.
That is
That-
that is not true. We've had several WordPress versus Drupal shows, and I would hope the WordPress side of that would be considered in WordPress
all right,
developers.
maybe. All right. Well, hi everyone.
All right, and now to talk about our module of the week, let's turn it over to Martin Anderson Klutz, a senior solutions engineer at Aqua and a maintainer of a number of Drupal modules and recipes of his own. Martin, what do you have for us this week?
Thanks, Nick. Have you ever wanted your Drupal site to generate various kinds of QR codes? There's a module for that. It's called QR Code Fields, and it was created in November 2023 by Sujan Shrestha of Nepal, and it has 1.1.1 and 2.1.3 versions available, the latter of which works with Drupal 10 and 11. It is actively maintained and has 4 open issues, none of which are bugs, which is pretty good considering it is in use by 134 sites according to Drupal.org. Now, this module defines not just 1, but 9 new field types for generating QR codes, including for URLs, vCards, meCards, events, and more. So a URL QR code field only accepts an input for the URL destination, while an event QR code has inputs for a summary, description, location, start, and end. The module also provides a custom block plugin for each type of QR code to make it easier to display your QR codes wherever you need for your specific use case. The QR code fields module also defines a service for generating QR code images, which could also be useful for more custom implementations. So let's talk about QR code fields.
This is amazing. I mean, I have so many questions.
What's
First
a me
is
card?
there's a good one. What is a me card?
All right. So I had the same question. So I did a little reading on this before the show. Me cards and V cards are sort of competing formats, but it sounds like V card is more of a general purpose format that can also be used for sort of more robust delivery of information. Me card is meant to be more of a succinct format that's really optimized for like QR codes and mobile devices and so on. So there's lots of overlap between the two, but if you're using like strictly to show QR codes on your website, then me code might be a better choice. But if you want the data to be ingested for other things, then V cards might be more appropriate.
And I guess I never realized that like there are different like styles of QR code. Like I'm seeing that like if you look at the module page, there's a great visual that illustrates all the different use cases. And I'm seeing different QR codes that have been generated. Like, is it using a third-party library to generate those, or like how does it generate?
I was wondering
QR
the same thing. Yeah.
So I was poking around. It looks like under the hood, it's actually using the Google Chart API, which, as far as I know, is deprecated. And so there may be an issue where down the road it needs to be updated to use something that's properly maintained. But
That's been
for
deprecated
now,
for like 10 years or something, though, hasn't it?
yeah, and there is a newer Google Charts. But I don't know if that requires an API key. I feel like Google in general seems to be moving in that direction of requiring keys and eventually having sort of like usage limits and some of those kinds of things. So maybe if one of our listeners knows of an alternative module that does some similar things but doesn't require something that's provided by Google, that would be interesting to know for our audience as well.
So that means if it's using the Google Charts API, any QR codes you create, you're sending your data off to Google. So you might want to be careful if you're using it for, I don't know, Wi-Fi passwords or things like that.
Yeah, that's a great point.
It is interesting because the last QR code is for Wi-Fi, and I'm like, "Huh, that's a really great idea." Except then you have to put your Wi-Fi into your Drupal site, which may or may not be hosted somewhere else, and then send your information off to build the QR code. I'm like,
Although
"Uh,
although it's probably better to do it on your own site than to just go to some random QR code generator website and do
well,
it.
so I mean, I don't know how everybody else generates QR codes, but literally Chrome has the ability to generate QR codes for
No,
URLs.
I always
Like
forget about that.
right in Chrome. So that's usually how I do it, but, like, are there other are people doing other things?
I've seen QR codes generated in command line apps. They actually print it out like
Really?
if you needed to like connect to like a VPN or something like that. I think the WireGuard tools use that. There's a PHP library I've used before for generating QR codes.
Huh.
One of the nice use cases of the Wi-Fi one, I actually used to have a QR code on my fridge at home that would connect you to the Wi-Fi, right? Because I figure if you can eat my food, you can join my Wi-Fi, right? Uh, so there's lots of good cases for those sorts of things, but it's pretty broad what you can do with it.
I assume that's
Um,
a guest Wi-Fi, right?
Yeah, that was the guest Wi-Fi for sure.
Okay.
M Martin, is there ability here well, I mean, I guess you already said that it's using, like, a Google library to generate the QR code, so I guess there's no ability for you to kinda customize the look and feel of the QR code?
I didn't see any options to really customize it that way. I know what you're talking about. Sometimes if you go to like web apps that generate QR codes, you can sort of like some of them even lets you customize colors, but you can put like logos or images in the middle and different things that way. I don't think this one is that sophisticated, but
Mhm.
maybe that would be a feature request to open up.
Interesting. Might have to give this one a whirl because now I'm always just creating links to my blog posts, so it's not really like Google doesn't already know that information.
All right. Thank you, Martin. If folks wanted to connect with you or suggest a module of the week, what's the best way for them to do that?
We're always happy to talk about interesting projects for Module of the Week in the Talking Drupal channel of Drupal Slack, or folks can reach out to me directly as Manclue on all of the Drupal and social platforms.
Awesome. Thank you so much. See you next week.
See you then.